Fayette County School Board is expected to discuss a possible tax increase at a meeting tomorrow night. While most of the district's budget comes from property taxes, leaders are looking at potentially increasing the occupational tax. Those dollars come from the paychecks of people who work and live in the county. Parents tell WKYT Investigates it's not a revenue problem, it's a spending problem.
We have 2 weeks to bring something back to the board that is balanced.
Fayette County Public Schools has been talking about a potential budget shortfall for more than a month now, a possible $16 million deficit in the next school year.
I think the first place they could make up some of this deficit is to eliminate all admin travel for the calendar year.
Administrators want to increase taxes. Tuesday night, the board will consider raising occupational taxes from 0.5% to 0.75%. The additional money would come directly from employee paychecks and business profits.
A new tax could be the difference between mom being home to help you with your homework and not. It could be the difference between staying in the school district you're in currently and having to move because mom and dad can't afford to stay there anymore.
We talked with Board Chair Tyler Murphy this week during a taping of Kentucky Newsmakers. He said rising costs and inflation are partly to blame.
We have one of the lowest administrative costs here in Fayette County. It may not match a lot of the headlines or some of the social media scuttle we see, but about 1.2% of our budget goes towards administrative costs. And when you compare that to certainly similar districts or even the private sector, it's relatively low.
According to the Kentucky Department of Education, Fayette County is one of only 9 districts in the state that collects an occupational tax for schools, including neighboring Scott County, which also imposes a 0.5% tax, while Jefferson County in Louisville currently receives 0.8%.
Whether you are a high school student socking away money for a new car, or you are a local business owner, every single one of us is going to pay for this decision.
We did reach out to Board Chair Tyler Murphy, who told us in part, quote, the board asked the administration to develop a specific plan that preserves critical investments for students and staff and balances our responsibility. Several board members told us they found out about the agenda item over the holiday weekend, and they still have a lot of questions, too, that they want answered. Board member Amanda Ferguson told WKYT, I have not heard any support from the community for this increase since it became public.
In a 3-2 vote, the FCPS board approved a resolution asking the fiscal court to raise the occupational license tax for schools from 0.5% to 0.75%.
I heard from a number of constituents who reached out to me by text, phone calls, emails, private messengers, asking whether or not the conversation and vote on May 27th was legal.
Senator Amanda Mays Bledsoe represents Lexington. After looking into the law, she reached out to Attorney General Russell Coleman. Wednesday, he released his opinion, saying FCPS's vote was unlawful because they did not give proper public notice of at least 1 week.
I think he confirmed what many people in Fayette County felt like, which we were shut out of a conversation about a tax increase.
We asked FCPS if the board's vote was unlawful since they didn't give at least 1 week's public notice. In a statement, they told us the law didn't apply since it's a county-level tax. However, Attorney General Russell Coleman addressed that statement given to WKYT in his opinion. He says the district's position is not supported by the statutory language.
The way Fayette County Public Schools handled it to begin with was inappropriate at best.
On Wednesday, FCPS said they, quote, respectfully but strongly disagree with Attorney General Coleman's opinion, adding they, quote, believe there are reasonable differences in interpretation.
I think that says a lot about where they feel like they are, that they can disregard the Attorney General of the state.
Norma Justice is the president and co-founder of the Fayette County Children's Coalition.
And I really think that the general public has turned against the board and their decision-making because they violated the trust.
The Fayette County Fiscal Court was slated to vote on the tax increase Thursday. Now, Fayette County Judge Executive Mary Diane Hanna says they will no longer be voting on the tax. The Fayette County Fiscal Court was slated to vote on the FCPS board's resolution asking to raise the occupational license tax in Thursday's meeting. That was until Attorney General Russell Coleman released his opinion, saying the board's vote passing the resolution was unlawful as they failed to give the required 1-week public notice.
Given the Attorney General's opinion issued yesterday and upon the advice of the Fayette County Attorney, fiscal court cannot address this matter as it was presented.
In Attorney General Coleman's opinion, he says the fiscal court cannot impose the tax unless it's certified by the school board again, this time in a meeting held after at least 1 week's public notice is given. The district tells me the tax will be on the agenda for their June 23rd meeting.
In theory, we have to act on it within 10 days. I don't know if people will be in town in July to act on it, so we will have to see.
On their website, FCPS says the fiscal court's role in imposing the tax is, quote, purely procedural. They say its only role is to, quote, adopt, not to debate and approve or disapprove. I asked Fayette County Judge Executive Mary Diane Hanna about this Thursday. Is that the case, or do you guys have an option to say no?
Well, in this case, we were able to say hang tight and wait on it, but I have to let counsel answer that.
While the fiscal court's power to decide on the tax remains unclear, Hanna says the public's opinion is.
I received phone calls, I received emails, and I received texts about it. No one was in favor of it, but I did have one person say she was in favor of it, but she wasn't in favor of the way the process went.
FCPS says they will hear public comment again in their June 23rd meeting. That meeting will be virtual. FCPS has repeatedly said that the projected contingency fund for next year was expected to be just under $42 million. Now, this email that I've recently obtained tells a very different story. Sources, including an FCPS board member, tell me Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins sent this email to board members earlier this week. In it, he says internal calculations suggest that that contingency fund will actually be more in the range of $15 to $22 million. That means that the work group's suggestion to pull from the contingency fund to address the district's $16 million budget deficit isn't actually an option. Liggins' email says the contingency amount has been, quote, somewhat uncertain, but they're getting closer to an actual estimation. The final number will be confirmed around August 25th. For context, state law requires districts to have a contingency fund of at least 2% to ensure they maintain financial stability and are prepared for unexpected expenses or revenue shortfalls. FCPS policy requires a 6% fund. The fund is not meant to be spent outside of a true financial emergency. Its use is not automatic and must be approved by the Board of Education in a public meeting. FCPS says the contingency hasn't been touched for the last 5 audited years. That's why the district's Budget Solutions Work Group suggested reducing the fund from 6 to 4%, a solution they were told would free up $14 million.
Has the board given consideration of reducing our contingency?
We have not brought that to them directly. I think that's something they would have to explore. That's something for sure. I mean, that's a great solution.
Seems like a pretty simple solution.
Yeah.
When the group ranked their solutions, reducing the fund to 4% took the #1 spot. Right behind it was further reducing the fund, taking the full $16 million from it to resolve the budget deficit. But we now know from Liggins' email these solutions are no longer possible. In it, Liggins also outlines what he calls, quote, 3 other significant cost pressures where expenses have outpaced revenues. Now, they include preschool expenses being $2 million higher than what can be recouped in revenue, employee retirements accumulating $2 million in penalties, and nutrition services revenues not keeping up with inflation, leaving the district roughly $6 million behind in payments, with only $4 million cash in hand on that fund. Now, the work group's suggestions to address the budget deficit are slated to be presented to the board here Monday night. I, of course, have reached out to the district to ask them several questions about this email, including when exactly the district realized the difference in the original projected fund versus where it now stands, as well as why the Budget Solutions Work Group was led to believe that changing the contingency fund was a viable option to address that deficit. They have not yet responded to my request for answers.
But now to some breaking news in the budget woes for Fayette County Public Schools. In the last half hour, we've learned that new steps the district will be taking because of an expected budget shortfall. Our Kelsey Soto is following this breaking story and joins us now. Kelsey?
Well, that shortfall is at the tune of $16 million. And this week we learned dipping into a contingency fund isn't an option because it's much lower than previously estimated. Now, here's what Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins revealed. Effective immediately, he will reassign the financial, accounting, budget, and benefits services departments to report directly to him. A mandatory hold on filling any district office vacancies. They're going to limit out-of-state or overnight professional development travel. They will pause all unnecessary unless they are directly related to health or safety needs, and that is regarding any construction projects. They're also going to hire retirees only for substitute teaching roles, and he's also launching an internal review of both current and past financial procedures. Now, the Education Board meeting is this coming Monday at 6 o'clock. The budget is already planned to be discussed.
They're continuing to closely follow Fayette County Public Schools budget issues. The district faces a $16 million budget deficit. WKYT Samantha Valentino has uncovered that the district's contingency fund is also projected to be up to $20 million less than originally anticipated.
Now, an email Superintendent Dr. Liggins sent to board members reveals what he wants you to know about the district's budget challenges. WKYT Samantha Valentino is walking us through those talking points that Liggins sent to board members.
In an email, Superintendent Liggins lays out talking points for board members when discussing the $16 million budget gap with community members. He says the goal is to, quote, ensure we are sharing consistent, factual information about the financial challenges facing our district, how we arrived here, and the steps being taken to address them. Liggins lists several reasons: enrollment shifts, benefit costs rising, higher compensation expenses, inflation in operations, and flat state funding, despite rising costs and new unexpected pension invoices. Liggins says there have been shifts in district enrollment. While there's slower growth overall, there are higher numbers of students requiring more costly services. He lists special education, English learners, and pre-K as examples. Additionally, he says new school openings add, quote, millions in fixed costs without offsetting closures. Under high compensation expenses, Liggins says recent pay adjustments for all employee groups resulted in unpredictable increasing in experience level and higher salary, teachers and staffs, and fewer vacancy savings. Liggins also cites rising benefit costs. He says health insurance is up 9% for fiscal year 2026, along with what he calls $2 million in pension catch-up. The talking points also list, quote, key messages for the community. These include that these challenges stretch far beyond K-12 education, citing that UK and local nonprofits are also feeling the pinch due to the current financial climate. Liggins says, quote, transparency and community collaboration are essential as we address these challenges together. The FCPS Budget Solutions Work Group was tasked with coming up with ways to address the district's projected $16 million budget deficit for next year. In their first meeting, they were told the general fund contingency was projected to be just shy of $42 million. They ranked 10 solutions. Most popular was reducing the contingency from 6 to 4%. They were told this would free up $14 million. Second most popular was pulling the full $16 million from the contingency. In an email to board members on August 10th, Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins said this is no longer a viable option, as the carryover balance, or true contingency, is projected to be in the range of $15 to $22 million. The contingency, along with the rest of the work group's suggestions, was discussed in Monday night's board meeting.
Has the contingency already been dipped into? Have some of those dollars already been spent?
I don't want to be stuck with a number that I told you at this meeting and then it changes. I'm very hesitant to give a number.
The question was also raised as to why the Budget Solutions Work Group wasn't told the contingency would be lower than the estimated $42 million. FCPS Financial Director Rodney Jackson said he told the group during their second meeting.
That's when you got up to talk and mentioned that the contingency had not been touched in 5 years and the money is still there. I mean, I'm wondering.
Oh, I never said the money was still there.
You said them funds are there.
No, I said we haven't touched it in 5 years. I said the money
And
may
them
not be
funds
there.
are there.
Yeah, I never said they would be there. The funds were there. You can play the clip. I know I did not say that.
WKYT reviewed the recording of the Budget Solutions Work Group's second meeting on July 15th. In the meeting, Jackson told the work group the contingency fund had not been accessed in 5 years.
So that goes to the 2024 year going backwards. So them funds are there. It's just not a theoretical number, but it's 6% of the budget based on our policy. So that's there. It hasn't been touched.
Jackson did explain the contingency balance remained unknown, noting the group had some great ideas for addressing the projected budget deficit.
But the reality of it, contingency is going to only serve a piece of that. but we don't know what that number is going to be this year yet.
In Dr. Liggins' email to board members, he said they should have a final number around August 25th.
Meeting was announced yesterday morning and started at 5:30 this evening. This comes after learning several weeks ago that the district's contingency fund or carry forward balance was likely going to be thousands of dollars less than anticipated. Tonight we learned that fund is $26.3 million instead of the initially indicated $42 million. Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins telling the board members they do plan some ideas. They have recommendations moving forward, and that does not include raising the occupational license tax. He says they're still considering additional ways to reduce their expenses.
That leaves us with the $16 million projected shortfall. And so to balance the budget, we will recommend the following. Freezing all hiring except for classroom positions and bus drivers, anticipating a $2 million savings there. Restricting overnight professional learning at the district level, restricting food for district-sponsored activities and meetings.
We talked with attorney for Ann Sampson Grimes last week, who wrote a scathing letter to board members saying she was punished for raising concerns about the ongoing budget issues. WKYT's Kelsey Soto is in studio now with the new details.
Well, Grimes has been with the district since the year 2000. In her personnel file, which we requested from FCPS, there are no listed disciplinary actions or any formal complaints, although her attorney says she was given a letter signed by the superintendent on August 15th, placing her on administrative leave for 20 workdays, citing, quote, inappropriate conduct. Grimes claims she wasn't given a reason why, but was told by Deputy Superintendent Dr. Houston Barber, her superior at the time, that it was, quote, an issue of leadership and not an issue of her performance. In that letter sent to board members, Grimes' attorney says Dr. Demetrius Liggins called her on August 19th, several days after she was placed on leave, and advised her that he, quote, knew we weren't supposed to be talking, again reiterating that it was unrelated to her performance. Also in her personnel file, Grimes just signed a new contract on June 18th for the current school year. She lists previous employment with the Kentucky Department of Transportation, Department of Education, Division of Forestry, Anderson Board of Education, and Mercer Circuit Clerk. Now, part of the Employee Code of Conduct signed by all staff says workers shall communicate truthfully and honestly and ensure that all records, disclosures, or other communications are complete, fair, accurate, timely, and understandable to the best of his or her knowledge.
In 22 pages, this lawsuit outlines the times FCPS Budget Director Ann Sampson Grimes says she warned district leaders they could face financial troubles if cuts weren't made.
Clearly, at this point, they're just trying to retaliate against her, and you felt we had no other choice at that point.
Those warnings go back to February 2024. Each time Grimes recommended cuts she thought were necessary, the suit says her peers and superiors pushed back, claimed she was incorrect, or flat out ignored her advice, leading to retaliation and/or discrimination. The suit outlines times Grimes raised concerns to Finance Director Rodney Jackson, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Houston Barber, and Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins. Instead of listening to Grimes' repeated warnings, her attorney Brandon Volker says she received this letter from Liggins, placing her on administrative leave.
This person did absolutely nothing wrong, and the ones that were told and knew of the issues are the ones still weren't put on leave or anything.
In April of this year, the suit says Grimes emailed Liggins directly advising significant cuts would need to be made for fiscal year 2026, predicting the district's current position. FCPS's finances have also caught the attention of state lawmakers here in Frankfort. Dr. Liggins has been summoned to appear before the Interim Joint Committee on Education on Tuesday to provide an update to the district's budget.
I feel like there's a lack of transparency, a lack of really understanding exactly where those tax dollars are going. I think you'll see some of that conversation perhaps next week in the Interim Committee on Education.
In June, Senator Amanda Mays Bledsoe asked Attorney General Russell Coleman to weigh in on FCPS's vote to raise the occupational license tax. He deemed it unlawful due to a lack of public notice. Since then, State Auditor Allison Ball launched a special examination into the district's finances, and we've learned the contingency is millions of dollars less than it should be.
What I keep hearing from people in Fayette County is a lot of questions, and they're getting very frustrated by the lack of maybe transparency and accountability. And there seems every week to be more questions, not less.
Senator Bledsoe says she and her constituents just want answers. In Frankfort, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
Grimes' lawsuit seeks damages, legal fees, and for Grimes to be reinstated to her position. It also accuses Superintendent Liggins of gross intentional conduct meant to punish Grimes and deter her from lawfully reporting potential mismanagement or waste of district funds. The district says they cannot comment on legal matters.
Much of the criticism surrounding Fayette County Public Schools budgeting process has indeed been warranted.
A projected $16 million budget shortfall, a quick passage of a tax hike, conflicting numbers in the contingency fund, and demands for an audit. Good evening, I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Amber Philpott. The last few months have been full of increased scrutiny for Fayette County Public Schools.
Today, FCPS Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins went before state lawmakers for questioning.
WKYT's Kelsey Soto was in Frankfort for that hearing. She is in studio now, breaking down the details. Kelsey?
Well, the Interim Joint Committee on Education requested Fayette County Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins come before them and provide an update on the district's budget. It's not uncommon, as Committee Chair Stephen West pointed out. Jefferson County's been there before, but he did note its significance.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Demetrius Liggins, Superintendent of Fayette County Public Schools, appeared alone before lawmakers, presenting 10 years worth of data and budgets.
Hindsight, as you know, is always 20/20, and I wish I had done more, and I regret that we are in the position that we're in today.
You have 40,000 students and their families dependent on you.
Senator Lindsey Tishner, Republican from Louisville, says even her constituents have requested documents through open records and expressed frustration with excessive spending.
On the purchase orders for reimbursement for yourself, where it says at the top of this page, it's about kids, for your reimbursements alone for travel is $60,000. That's unbelievable.
This is basically a forum.
Committee Chair Senator Stephen West, a Republican who serves parts of Fayette County, questioned the culture at central office.
Is there a toxic work environment at home office?
I wouldn't call it a toxic environment by any stretch of the imagination, but there is an environment where there's trust, not only and we talked about trust here with the community. I think there's some trust issues that are occurring in the leadership level of the district as well.
Ask you a couple questions?
Please, we got to get back to prep for a board meeting tonight, but if you'll give me your card, we'll reach out.
Okay. We were able to talk with two board members after the hearing about their takeaways.
As frustrating as it has been for the community, I think it's been equally frustrating for families, for our teachers, for our staff, and you know, I was elected to represent everyone, and if I could be here, I want to be here to truly get the information firsthand.
Is this movement in the right direction?
It seems like it, yes. I mean, and I'm hearing, just talking afterwards, I'm hearing that there are still a lot of questions that they weren't answered, and further things they want to ask about.
Senator West did mention there was plenty more to discuss, and they hadn't even scratched the surface on the ground they would like to cover. He mentioned possibly calling Fayette County schools back for a future meeting. Adriel Camuel, a Democrat who represents Lexington, had several questions for Dr. Liggins, and she did disclose that she and her husband are employed by the district. You can catch that full hearing online. We'll have a link for you right now over on our website.
Live look in at tonight's Fayette County School Board meeting. They will be voting on the district's working budget for the 2025-26 fiscal year. The district has been trying to find solutions to a projected $16 million deficit for months. The final budget is more than $827 million. Tonight's board meeting comes as multiple state lawmakers are calling for a shakeup in district leadership. WKYT's Kelsey Soto is joining us live from the John D. Price Administrative Building. Kelsey, you actually talked to one of those representatives who wants to see change.
Several lawmakers are now requesting that several of the district leaders step down and resign from their position. Representative Matt Lockett led the charge this morning, calling on Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins as well as Board Chair Tyler Murphy to step down. He listed at least a dozen grievances, including excessive spending, an irresponsible compensation package for the superintendent, the attempt to raise the occupational license tax, financial mismanagement that led to a $16 million budget shortfall, the ongoing lawsuits, a nearly depleted contingency fund, the hostile work environment, denying access to open records requests, and a lack of transparency. He told us he doesn't see any other path forward.
How can you go into a meeting tonight and say, here's our budget? Who is going to believe that? The trust is gone.
Representative Matt Lockett, a Republican from Nicholasville, also serves parts of Fayette County. He believes the Fayette County public school system is falling victim to failed leadership. Monday morning, he called on Superintendent Dr. Demetris Liggins and Board Chair Tyler Murphy to resign.
That trust has to be there. The teachers have to be able to trust their superintendent and board chair. Period.
The legislature doesn't have the authority to remove a superintendent or board member, so his request is just that.
We certainly appreciate their service. We certainly appreciate what they've done. It isn't easy. And I know the job of superintendent, I wouldn't want it. And I know that both of them have been trying, but I would ask them, directly for the sake of the school board, for the sake of the teachers, for the sake of our parents, and mostly for the sake of our students, please step aside. And I think all of us as a body want to see this behind us, want to see this train wreck behind us. And so we're all wanting to kind of turn a new leaf, if you will, and to say, you know what, let's turn this page. Let's get back to where we ought to be. Let's put the district back on sound footing and move forward.
Within the past hour, we've gotten reaction from both the superintendent and board chairman. Superintendent Dr. Liggins said, I have publicly agreed that much of the criticism surrounding Fayette County Public Schools' budget process has been warranted and taken responsibility for restoring community trust. He goes on to say the budget our Fayette County Board of Education will consider tonight is balanced without raising the tax rate and with continued support to classrooms. Representative Matt Lockett would know that if he chose constructive dialogue over political theater. And board chairman Tyler Murphy said, Representative Lockett has my number, and I welcome any constructive conversation with him or any fellow elected officials about how we can work together to support our students, our educators, and our community. I'll leave the politics to Frankfort and Washington. The school board is also set to vote on $45,000 worth of professional leave during tonight's meeting. The agenda lists 17 trips ranging in price from $900 to more than $3,000. All but one of them will span multiple nights. Most of the trips on the agenda will be paid for with grants by a third party, or it'll be coming out of the employee's own pocket. Last month, Dr. Liggins said that they would be cutting back on both the out-of-state and the overnight professional leave. So far this year, the district has spent $153,000 on trips. About $37,000 of that is from the general fund.
And tonight, WKYT investigates. Samantha Valentino sits down with Grimes' attorney and uncovers new internal emails from district leaders.
These are numbers. Numbers don't lie.
Brandon Volker's client, FCPS Budget Director Ann Sampson Grimes, was placed on administrative leave on August 15th. Through an open records request, we obtained more than 800 pages of emails between Superintendent Dr. Demetris Liggins, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Houston Barber, Finance Director Rodney Jackson, and Board Chair Tyler Murphy. Several of them discuss Grimes. A January 28th email from Budget Specialist Jessica Williams to Grimes raises concerns about the district's fund balance or true contingency. Williams shared that she was concerned about the fund balance, projecting it would only be approximately $2 million. Williams wrote, quote, without significant reductions, the available funds for contingency will be less than both the state requirement and FCPS's internal policy. Williams sent the email to Rodney Jackson in August. He asked her several questions, including why Grimes didn't communicate the concerns to district leaders or the board. In this 70-page letter Grimes' attorney sent to WKYT Investigates this week, she outlines the many times she says she warned district leaders about their contingency, going all the way back to last year.
I provided where she told them numerous times she told him the amounts.
On August 14th, one day before the decision to place Grimes on administrative leave, Jackson forwarded the thread between him and Williams to Dr. Barber. Please see the attached and read thoroughly. Additionally, please see the email commentary below. Disturbing, to say the least, Jackson wrote. On August 15th, Dr. Barber asked HR to place Grimes on leave, quote, effective immediately, pending an investigation based on new information received yesterday. Volker says the findings of that investigation haven't been shared with him. However, Grimes has since returned to work remotely.
Presumably, they didn't find anything.
FCPS has repeatedly denied our requests for comment on Grimes' claims, saying they don't comment on legal matters. In Lexington, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.